Okay, so this video is about humanity's number, right? 666. It's also the mark of a man in a sense. We'll get to that, right? The children of Cain, those who follow the devil's path. You know, the initial kind of intense embodiment of Satan was Cain, because that part of Adam had expressed himself in Cain. So the humanity's number is also this mark, right? It's a line in the sand, so to speak. Okay, it's the mark of the beast. It's those who have crossed the line into being on the devil's side. And for those who are confused about that and why it's that simple, well, think of the golden rule, right? The golden rule refers to the essence of the law and the prophets. And doing unto others as you would have them do unto you if you're a righteous person, if you're morally precise. And so it is with the greatest commandment. Again, the essence of the law and the prophets, which is loving God with all your being. By, it says in John 14 or 15, if you love me, obey my command. So loving God with all your being by obeying God through me with all your heart. So again, you see that the gold in the Bible symbolizes wisdom, right? The golden rule, this wise rule. So it says, he who has wisdom, calculate the number. Those who understand the essence of Scripture, right? There's a difference between understanding and knowing. A lot of people know of the story. A lot of people have connected a lot of the dots that I have, but they don't truly understand it, because it takes living in the divine order, in righteousness, okay, to understand it, and to understand it more and more as time goes on, in your soul at least. For example, if your brain was to be damaged, I am the way, the truth, and the life, regardless of how much damage my brain sustains. Okay, so the dragon represents the essence of a group projection of an ancient system that predates Judaism and Christianity. So we see, for example, in the book of Job, that Satan says that he's been roaming the world like Cain was cursed to do. Okay, so when Cain was there, that was way before Moses, way before the Torah and Tanakh was written, before the Old Testament was written, way before that. The devil's system of fooling people predates the Jewish religion. It predates Noah. It's this ancient system. Remember, the snake is described as crafty, and the snake and Cain became associated with each other. So as Cain followed the way of the snake more than the other people in the beginning, the snake, the devil, is following Cain and roaming the world with Cain. Cain is projecting. Cain is like a grouping of people, and they're projecting they're projecting a certain spirit, and the essence of that spirit is the ancient serpent. The devil is the dragon. So there are skills and skill sets that are associated with this ancient serpent system. One is murder for evil gain in its various forms. Brute force and violence that, is senseless are part of it as well. The dragon is associated with the snake in the garden, so it is crafty. The dragon likes to tempt and make people think that they are important, empowered, and or like gods. The dragon leads people away from the Royal African Falcon top martial artist order. Now, how do we know that I'm right about that? Again, it goes back to the hawk in Job. It's also Psalm 18, where God trains the king's hands for battle. Psalm 19, where the sun is a symbol of the bridegroom. Psalm 136, where it says the sun was set to govern the day, right? Genesis, the greater light to rule the day. The greater light to rule the day, causing me to stumble on my words using technology. The greater light to rule the day. And in Psalm 136, it says the sun to govern the day. So when we connect that to Psalm 19, where it says that the sun is a symbol of the champion, the bridegroom. Okay, so the champion, the top martial artist, is symbolized by the sun. He's set apart to govern. I'm set apart to rule over those who obey God. And they have to obey God through me to obey God. Amos 9:7 makes it clear that the Cushites are the same as the Israelites in the eyes of God. It says it flat out, specifies them, and that goes back to Genesis 10. Ham begot Cush, Cush begot Nimrod, this mighty warrior before the Lord. Proverbs 16:10 through 12, the throne is established in righteousness. Proverbs 17:2, a prudent servant will rule over a disgraceful son. and share the inheritance as one of the family. Galatians 4, it says the spirit is what matters, not the flesh. In the Bible, and Christ is a character in the New Testament says that as well, right? The spirit of the idea that Jerusalem is superimposed on in the spiritual realm is the mother of the righteous, not Jerusalem in this world. See Galatians 4, take notes. Okay, so that's how we know that that's what the dragon's trying to do. Because the covenant was made with the souls of those who obey God in the divine order, right? Think of Noah. He was before the covenant. Think Noah was excluded from the covenant? The covenant was made with the souls of those who would be righteous, just like we see in Numbers 10, okay? Genesis 10, where it talks about Nimrod, Numbers 10, where Moses takes a Cushite wife, and because of her flesh, they're discriminating against her, and God intervenes, and he curses Miriam to have leprosy. Okay, so to understand the devil, we have to understand what the divine order is. Understand where the line is, right? Let he who has wisdom calculate the number. Okay, calculate, Numbers is a book in the Bible, right? Calculate the number. And it goes back to the spirit is everything, the flesh means nothing. Right? The covenant with God and Abraham was to his spiritual seed, not to his flesh-based seed. And seeds, rather. But to his spiritual seed. And Paul in his letter says the same thing. He says it's a spiritual covenant. It's not with the flesh of the Jews. Okay, it's with the spirit of those who are in submission to God. And Abraham happened to be, the one who was kind of guiding it along in the story. Okay. And again, we see that in Proverbs 17:2. This is the Old Testament, mind you, where it says a prudent servant will rule over a disgraceful son. It makes it clear that based on your deeds, you're being judged. And we see that as a recurring theme in the Bible. We see that also with the parable of the 10 minas. We see it with the parable of the bags of gold, the parable of the wedding banquet. It's a recurring theme. Revelation, being judged according to your deeds. You know them by their works, not by their flesh. So the devil is from like the cult of the flesh. Okay? And he inspires jealousy and hatred and the 7 deadly sins, right? There's gluttony and sloth and wrath, okay, and lust and greed and envy, and so on and so forth. Pride, false pride, instead of boasting in the Lord as I do. So in the next video after this, we'll talk about the beast. I'll probably make that video tomorrow. I have a lot on my plate here. I have to upload videos, and they've been giving me a hard time about uploading videos. But when we see these traits of the devil, right, he's tempting Jesus. He's inspiring envy, right? The children of Cain, they try to kill those who are able to do God's work, right? Cain and Abel, being able to face Alpha Baal and to do God's work, okay? The satanic Alpha Baal, mind you, not the true Alpha, which is the Son of God, the heavenly warrior who defeats the beast. It's me, my soul specifically. So the dragon also said to them, right, he said that ye shall be like gods, right? This false empowerment, trying to make it so people feel important, which goes back to their skills, the skills and kills. Does it matter if you kill the flesh? Well, Christ's flesh was killed in the story, right? He said the war is not against flesh and blood, it's against the spiritual forces of darkness, and so on and so forth. So spiritual power is proven through martial arts as opposed to worldly power proven through the military or some big knucklehead or whatever, right? Killing the flesh means nothing. All true victories are in principle. Spar it, spirit. Not just go around killing everybody and throwing your weight around. So you have to understand also the wordplay there with the dragon, to drag on. They're not drawing on the true spirit of God. And to drag on. And for people to keep reproducing after my flesh dies, they're dragging him on and on. He's dragging them into the pit, and they're bringing in people into this world to be consumed by the devil, figuratively speaking, and have their souls cooked forever. As the devil wants to bring people down as he hates them. And you see that in Job, where the devil does not want to give Job his credit. And he says, curse the things that he has. And he says, well, that's not enough. And he says, well, give him a hard time. And it eventually causes Job to go on and on about why it's unfair for that to be occurring. We'll leave it there. Thank you.